Welcome to SoCal SoCial. I am Scarlett, and today we have the founders of Passion Tree, Andy and Garrett. Jake could not make it. He is in LA working, but these guys just drove all the way down, so thank you for coming.
Of course.
Thank you for having
excited to be here.
So Passion Tree is a local seltzer company here in San Diego that has taken off over the past year. I remember about a year ago, they were getting delivered to my front door, and now I walk into the stores and see them. So
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about where the brand is at right now.
We had a year, probably about 20 days ago was our anniversary, 1 year anniversary of being a brand.
Congrats.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah.
Now we're expanding out to Orange County and Los Angeles. But it's been quite a ride so far,
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Yeah, we just moved to Los Angeles, 3 weeks ago. So super excited to be expanding out there.
Leaving us in San Diego.
Yeah, but this is always the roots. This is where it all started, and we love everyone out here. So.
Where did the Passion Tree idea come from?
Take it off.
Yeah, so it goes back to Miami, actually. So I was an engineer, sales engineer, and they moved me to Miami for a full-time position. I was out there by myself. Didn't know anyone. And I was just kind of like journeying around, ended up going to this winery called Schnebley's Winery. And they gave me a tour of the facility. And it ended up being with like the first gen owner of it. But it was cool because this winery, they would actually make wines with like exotic fruits. So they'd press like guavas and passion fruits and like make these wines, and they were fucking amazing. So I like was just super stoked on this. One of my friends from Minnesota, Josh, he was like, hey, I have a friend in Miami that just moved there like a year ago. You should totally meet him. He went to school in Arizona. Well, he's a cool guy. Went to his apartment. We went to the beach. We were just having some beers, and I brought some of this wine. And he was like, this fucking wine is amazing. He was raving on the passion fruit wine. And he was like, you know what? We should totally make a hard seltzer with some of these flavors, because there isn't really any of these exotic fruit flavors in the market. And I was like, that's a fucking great idea. Let's do it. So I ended up, we were kind of like going back and forth, like trying to figure out the name. We loved passion fruit wine. That was like our favorite one. So we were like, all right, let's keep like the passion portion, but like let's incorporate a tree, because we wanted to do a give back to the company. So for our product, we plant a tree for every single case that's sold. So let's do passion tree. So then after that, we were like, all right, what do we do now? I mean, we kind of need let's think of like marketing sort of. So Andy and I went to high school together. So then I called him and I was like, hey bro, like I have a great idea. Let's run with it. Told him about it. He's like, I'm fucking in. He flew to Miami, and then we were like, we're all in on Passion Tree. Mm-hmm. So from there, we're like, all right, we need to kind of like figure out the formula. We had the logo, we had the name. It's like, all right, now we need the product. So we actually bought like a fruit press, and I watched like a bunch of fucking YouTube videos, like trying to figure out how to make this shit.
Way.
Yeah. And got a fruit press. I got like these glass 5-gallon drums. And I was like using like my pans that I was cooking like for food and shit to like actually make it. Cause you have to like boil down water and sugar, and then you press the fruit. So I was like pressing guavas in my apartment, and then like put it into like this big 5-gallon drum. And when you ferment it, it has to be at 60 degrees. So I cranked down the AC to 60 for 4 weeks straight.
Studio apartment, too.
Yeah,
We're sleeping in there.
Yeah.
Very small apartment.
Yeah, it was fucking cold. I mean,
Wow,
60
the
degrees for
dedication.
4 weeks. Like, Jesus Christ. So then after 4 weeks, I was like watching it closely, whatever. I mean, it looked decent. And then we ended up trying it, and it was fucking disgusting. It was like the worst thing I've ever had. Like, it was rotten. Because obviously it wasn't sanitized. Like, I was using like my pots and pans from cooking, so there's probably like leftover shit in it. But yeah, so it was terrible. And from there, we were like, all right, we need to actually find someone to formulate this right. So then we found a company out of St. Paul, Minnesota called BevSource, and they helped us with their formulation. So they were like sending us, we picked our flavors, and then they would send us samples, and we did like 9 different iterations of each flavor.
And then how long after finding the formula and everything did you decide to move to San Diego?
It was like a year and a half
Yeah.
from like the idea phase to actually like launching the company. So after we found the formula, then it was like, all right, what do we do now? We need to like get materials because we need to order cans, we need to order packaging, we need to order like POS stuff for stores. So the only way to do that is raise capital. So then it was like, let's start putting together our business plan, and start putting a deck together and start reaching out to investors. And like initially, when we were raising capital, it was like, all right, we're gonna raise, $2 million. We're gonna find like a big fish, $2 million. Let's do it. And we knew like we were so confident that we could raise the money. Like I remember like throughout all of this, the whole time we were like, the money's gonna be the easiest thing. It's
part.
done. We know people. It'll be easy. And so it's the hardest part of any business, raising money. Raising money is so hard. So then we kind of like, we were doing pitches, whatever. It was just through like family and friends. And then the 2 million, like it was so hard to raise all at once. So we were like, you know what? Let's try and raise smaller amounts.
Yeah, it's because we had such a high minimum at the time. We were like trying to do like a $100,000 or $200,000 minimum, and as an investment. And then we started reaching out to like business colleagues. We only had, I think, one investor was a family person, and then a couple friends, but mostly just business colleagues. Lowered the minimum to 25,000, and that's when things just really picked up. It was like a domino effect. Really.
Yeah, literally.
And then we finally raised about 1.2 million. Ordered all the cans, got all the materials and everything ordered up, and then kind of just sent it all actually to Texas. Was the original plan, was to do Texas.
To move to Texas?
Yeah, we were going to launch in
Yes.
Texas because we had this guy out in Texas that promised us the world. He was like, you're going to
promised us the world.
The world. You're going to be in with the biggest distributor in Texas. You're going to be in every single store in Texas right away. His projections are like 1.5 million cases in the first 18 months. And we were like, all right, let's do it. All of our numbers, everything we were telling our investors is like based off of our numbers in Texas. So the whole plan is to launch in Texas. And
Wait, so why did you choose San Diego?
So we literally shipped out all the product to Texas, had a brewery out there and everything, and ended up like figuring out like this guy's he's kind of like a fraud. Like he like literally all of the stuff he was telling us was complete bullshit. And we didn't even know it. But we were like, there was a certain time where like he wasn't answering, wasn't connecting us with the distributor. We were in Texas. We had picked up my uncle's RV, 1994 RV, living in a trailer park in Texas. And literally we're like, guys, like if we don't hear back from him today, we got to go back to Miami, regroup for a couple days and figure out what we're going to do.
How long were we out there?
It was probably like 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
So.
Yeah, we were just sitting in an RV like
with our dicks in our hands, literally like,
doing
had
nothing
to do.
And we're so excited. Like we have the brewery, like all of our product out here. Like we got all of our cans shipped from fucking China to California, then from California to Texas. Like everything was out here, and then we were just sitting there like, what are we doing? Like what's happening right now?
Finally went back to Miami and made the decision. We're like, we just got to take our own route. And we stumbled upon a brewery in San Diego that was such a blessing. They could produce literally ASAP. So we just said, screw it. Shipped all the product from Texas back to San Diego area because that's where it was coming in from. And, it was perfect because we actually knew some people out there too.
Right.
And we had a lot of friends out there. And then when we stepped back a little bit and thought about our brand and like what we were all about, and there was like the palm trees and the tropical flavors and kind of just like the people that we are. We're very relaxed, but we want to get stuff done. And that was kind of the San Diego culture, even coming into it. And when we launched here, it was really cool with the local people that lived here, the communities that accepted us, and got on board with the brand, and everyone was so happy and supportive that we came to know like San Diego was kind of that market that was really meant to be for us.
Right.
But I think like we were telling you before it started was like some of those obstacles that we had to overcome before we even got to the point where, all right, we're launching.
So you were in engineering and you guys were both working like full time prior to starting this. And then you just quit your jobs to go all in on Passion Tree.
I mean, there was a point where like, you know, you have to figure out, all right, what can I like make to support myself to be able to go after our dream of like creating a company together. But you know, there's also a point where it's like, all right, we just got to go all in because we're not putting enough time into it. And once we quit our jobs, we had the whole day, all night, you know, 24 hours in the day.
Full focus.
Instead of, you know, only 12 hours in the day, you know, or 7 hours in the day.
And I think like once we started to raise capital, it was like, all right, you know, we can't go out and raise capital and say this is our part-time thing.
Right.
No one's going to invest in you. It has to be all in or nothing, especially when it's so early stage and you don't even have a product yet.
Or a sale, yeah.
Or a sale. You can't say, oh yeah, this is a part-time gig, it's an idea, whatever.
With these long hour days, what have been some habits that you formed or how have your priorities changed from?
I think, you know, definitely having a to-do list that's formed at night for the next day is probably our most valuable thing that we do. We always all have one. It's valuable because we have 3 partners, so we can all hold ourselves accountable.
Right.
Realistically, like what helps us stay organized and like communicate well is like those gatherings where we, you know, go over, hey, what did you do today? What are we doing tomorrow? And then like our Sundays is really where we regroup, like where are we at as a business? What happened the past few weeks? How can we change anything that went wrong? And then how are we going to go moving forward?
Different, like I handle a lot of the marketing. Me and Garrett will collaborate on that too.
Yeah.
And, you know, sales teams is really Jake and Garrett too.
Speaking of the marketing, you guys have been crushing it like with social media and content. And I mean, really, I feel like everyone in San Diego has either seen or tried the product. So what were some of your tactics behind the marketing?
At the beginning, we didn't have a ton of money like these other big beer companies or big seltzer companies. So we just had to do a lot of boots on the ground. You know, we had the RV that we wrapped and brought out to San Diego, living in Mission Bay Trailer Park for 3.5 months when we started the company. But it was a driving billboard. So we would literally drive around, you know, and pull up to parties. Like when we met you, you know, we'd literally pull up to a party and come out with a bunch of cold product. We just wanted people to try it, you know, like getting the brand out there. And like people meeting us too, you know?
Everywhere.
And we felt like, you know, we knew that we had a good product too. And our partner said, hey, lips on lids is the best thing you guys can do. You guys don't have a ton of money to like blast ads or pay people to post.
Right.
So that was kind of like our goal, is just like get as many people as possible by sponsoring parties, events, you know, doing all those type of activations, having our brand ambassador girls go onto the beach and like give people t-shirts and telling people about the brand, have them follow the Instagram account. We had a couple of videos that like did pretty well on like views wise, that helped gain a following as well. But we were so adamant about people following the Instagram when we would give people product too. So that was definitely like a huge success for us in terms of like getting the brand out there. But also I think the influencer thing was interesting because so many brands will take it where like, you know, oh, like we got to pay this person, this guy and this girl, this amount, you know, every month or every week or single posts. And for us is like, we have a really great cause behind our brand. You know, every case sold, one tree's planted around the world. So it was something that, and it's alcohol, something that people want to be able to be a part of. So the conversations with influencers got a lot easier, right? Is because, you know, an influencer, a lot of the times they're very, you know, their image is everything. That's their brand. So them being associated with a product that does good for the world too was so helpful for us because, you know, we would get away with being able to just donate product and not having to pay them. And they would, you know,
happily post.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And that was kind of an efficient way for us to kind of go in about getting the word out there. And we would do it with as many people as possible.
So I know that it's in local liquor stores, and now you guys have it in Ralph's as well. What were some of the challenges getting it into Ralph's? I know that you said other big competitors would kind of just push you off of the shelf. So what was that like?
Yeah, that was tough. So one of our partners, Brian, he's been in the industry for 35 plus years. He's a beast. Yeah, so Brian Cameron's a beast. But yeah, so when we kind of built ourselves out in the independent liquor stores, and showed him our movement there, he was like, all right, it's time to start reaching out to Ralph's. Usually they'll kind of try newer brands out in chains faster than a lot of the other big chains. So that was late June, and then Seth, who's the buyer at Ralph's, was like, you know what, I love the brand. Let's try it. So July 1st was our first day in Ralph's, which we started off in like 4 or 5 Ralph's, but it was hilarious because Pacific Beach Ralph's was the first one we got into, and it was July 4th weekend.
Oh,
so
perfect.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
Like we did like 250 units in 2 days, like 250 12 packs in 2 days out of that store. That store cranks. It's like the highest volume Ralph's.
We would send people in, or we would do it ourselves. So we would go into a store and we would just go stand in the seltzer aisle and tell people about the product. Everyone's like so used to like, oh, White Claw, Truly, and it's kind of like an automatic setting.
Yeah.
So like so many brands think like, oh, if you have a great packaging and it's gonna sell. No, like we knew that like people were on this automatic setting, so we had to go into the stores, and when people were making the decision, we would say, hey, have you guys tried this product yet? It's Passion Tree Hard Seltzer, and then tell them all the differentiating things about it, local company. And they're like, oh yeah, like I'd love to try it. Boom. People are at that stage right now, and back then, that they were willing.
Yes,
right. They're open to trying new products because they've been drinking all the same old stuff for 4 or 5 years now.
Right, and especially with it being a local brand, I feel like a lot of people really do want to support the local community.
Definitely.
So
San Diego more than anywhere.
Right, San
Anywhere.
Diego
Loves
is
local.
such
So
a
supportive
community.
too, and that's the cool and unique thing about San Diego. There's nothing like it I've experienced in the country. Even if you're not from here, too.
Nobody's from here.
Right, exactly.
Like, there's so many like transplants, but like it's cool to see that the people that are locals that are actually from San Diego accept you like you grew up here.
Right.
And that was so powerful to us. Like, I mean, and sure you experienced it too. It's like, it's insane. Like, I've never experienced where, hey guys, we're going to have this party and then 800 people show up, right? 900 people show up. And like that also really helped too, getting the brand out there. Is I think that was a big turning point for our company when we did the pre-cross.
passion parties,
The pre-cross party was pretty crazy.
That was an epic party.
Yep. Shout out Max Aaron, you're the man for that.
So right now it's just in Southern California, and you're working on expanding throughout the U.S.
Yeah, so our next stop is going to be Vegas. But after that, it's going to be Arizona. And then Southern Florida will be, and then after that, Texas. Because the reason we expand into California, Texas, and Florida is because between those 3 states, that takes up 50% of all alcohol sales in the U.S. Oh, wow. So you dominate those 3 states, you're doing very well as a company.
What is the best advice that you would give to someone right now wanting to take that leap?
I know one thing would be, from our experiences in Texas with what happened to with that individual, really set us forth with the rest of the company was any advisor that you bring on or partner that you hope to be that person to listen to and a good voice throughout your journey, take what they say with a grain of salt, and then use it in a collaborative session with you and your partners and figure out the best route. Don't just say, okay, this is what they said, this is what we need to do. Using your gut feeling a lot of the times is the best way to do it. Don't just, if someone promises you the world, don't be like, all right, don't start celebrating.
Right.
We've done that before, and it was not time to celebrate at all. And it's a roller coaster ride always. It's ups and downs. But just always knowing too, like there's always going to be, even if you're at like the lowest part, and we've all been at the lowest part, like where there's not much money in the account, like what are you going to do? And then things just turn around.
Another thing would be like, once you do start to like see some success, there's a lot of people that'll come to you saying that they can do this and this for you. And it's like, 99% of those people are just talking. So like, don't get your hopes up. Like, really like vet these people, set up meetings, like get to know them before you move forward with anyone, because there's so many people that talk so much and it's so frustrating, and it's hard to sift through. But at the end of the day, like, that's life. But just make sure you sift through it and don't trust a lot of people. But the people that you do trust, stick with them and keep those people as your ride or die.
It really is about who you surround yourself with.
100%.
That's something that I've been finding out recently too. I feel like my circles have changed and have become so much smaller, but so much stronger.
In a good way.
Yeah, in the best way.
Yeah.
And one more thing that I really like to cover is daily habits. So what's something that you do to just keep the motivation going, to keep the energy high?
Well, I think always you got to have a goal, whether it's like a pipe dream. It might seem like a pipe dream, or someone might call it a pipe dream. And like me and Garrett, we love boats. We love boats.
Massive.
I love boats too.
Like massive boats. So like we'll like, even if
Massive
it's on
boats.
Instagram, like we'll save it. Like, oh, maybe one day, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's the
having
dream
like
yacht.
wild dreams like that, I think is so powerful too, because it's like, oh, how are you gonna get that unless you're gonna build a company and make a big difference, and then maybe down the road you can get it. For us,
Do you
it's like,
guys wake up early and have like a morning
yes,
routine?
yeah,
Or
like waking up early is a huge thing for us. I mean, like 5. So I mean, just figuring out like times that you can still get all your stuff done too.
Right.
Taking care of yourself. I think something that we need to get better at is more so like our personal health. And that's something that like we've definitely struggled with, and like making sure that we make time for other people, going out, just having fun too. Life doesn't always have to be just business, but to be able to perform your best, you got to take some time too. I'd say just whatever you're looking at doing in life, go for it. Don't let anyone else say that you can't do it.
Just work hard, keep grinding. That's all you can do.
Roller coaster, baby.
Yeah.
It's a roller
Way too many
along
ups
for
and
the
downs.
ride. Okay, well, congrats, you guys. Thank you so much for coming today. Subscribe on YouTube, follow along on Instagram, follow Passion Tree, try Passion Tree if you haven't tried it, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Versus